Welcome to Analog Schtick, a PlayStation 2 podcast, the podcast where every month we do a deep dive on one PS2 game. We cover the game's development, discuss its legacy, as well as share our thoughts and opinions on the game through a modern lens. You can find us on podcast platforms as Analog Schtick, as well as a video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel, Joystick. I'm your host, Clayton, joined as always by my co-host, Morgan, who's recovering from a very tragic and severe spinal cord injury as a result of an ATV-related accident over the weekend. Morgan, how are you holding up?
I can't feel my legs.
You should have adhered to the do not attempt to replicate this in real life warning at the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And that's precisely why I decided to I made the conscious decision to get into an ATV accident just to see what it would be like. Actually, I didn't know that this was part of the intro. But one of my cousins actually did get in a real ATV accident and nearly died and had an out-of-body experience.
Where we are from, ATV, or as we like to call them, four-wheeler accidents, are aplenty. They're just very dangerous vehicles.
Right, yeah, it's ATV accidents and some sort of like farm equipment tragedy, I feel like.
Yeah.
Or like, drunk driving, which I feel like that's pretty...
God forbid you turn an ATV into some sort of farm equipment. That's just like doubling your chances.
Doubling the risk of something awful happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, what was I never mind. I'm not gonna go anywhere insensitive with that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to be too mean because it's legitimately something that we've had to deal with.
Right, yeah, this has hit close to home, right.
Yeah. I always love the do not attempt to replicate this at the beginning of, real life or sports games. Because it's like, yeah, I get it. I mean, it may have very well been an actual, it's probably covering their bases for just every region, but I like to assume that there was some sort of court case where someone replicated, I don't know, Tony Hawk.
Oh, yeah. It's like, well, you didn't put the warning in the thing, so how are they supposed to know not to do it?
How am I supposed to know?
Right.
I thought this was a documentary.
Right, with these obvious, PlayStation 2 textures and... yeah.
So, what you been up to this week? This month, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, wedding preparations. I'm getting married in less than 30 days. This is being recorded on August 27th. So, yeah, my wedding is less than a month away.
Real quick on the wedding thing.
Yeah.
You know the whole are you going to have the thing where if anyone objects to this holy union,
I don't think so.
Please stand now or forever hold your peace.
Do most people even say that anymore? I feel like that's just been kind of tossed out of
I don't think my wedding had it, but I always wanted to be at a wedding or witness a recording of a real wedding where someone actually had something to say at that moment.
Oh,
because that feels, honestly, if I was there, I'd probably melt into a puddle of just I would cringe so hard I would turn
disintegrate.
Into a puddle.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome though.
Yeah, if it was I don't know how you could make it comical. I just think you'd give everybody a heart attack if you stood up and did anything that was I don't know.
What if you were marrying a twin? And you had the other twin up there on stage, and the real person you were actually going to marry was in the audience, and then they objective. I don't know. That wouldn't be that funny though. That would just
I don't know. I feel like if I was the bride in the situation, or the person that the prank was being played on, I'd be hey, what the heck? It's this is an important this is an important part of our lives, and you're just
Jason, we're not doing this today.
Right.
We are not doing this today.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been doing some wedding preparations. Honestly, I say that, but I haven't really been doing all that much. It's just hey, has everybody RSVP'd? Okay, cool. And my wedding is going to be a pretty laid back thing.
Even though I assume it's very stressful.
Kind of. I don't know. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
I have eliminated things that I know would stress me out. There will be no DJ because I cannot handle someone yelling at me over a microphone, or, God forbid they pull a switcheroo at the last second and it's some dude I've never met before. Not that ever happened to you.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I understand. I don't know. I have not been to a wedding without a DJ yet, so I don't know.
Oh, see,
I don't know what that vibe is like.
My cousins didn't have dancing or anything at their receptions, so there was no need for a DJ. Actually, none of them had music at their receptions either, which I'm going to have like background music, you know, but there's no alcohol and stuff like that. So there's not going to be any like drunk people wanting to go out there and do who knows what.
Mm-hmm. Which of our friends is going to have like a crazy wedding? Because that's what I'm looking forward to. I think
Gavins...
Cody's would be pretty lit. I got to be real.
Yeah, Gavins is like chill.
Yeah, Gavins was nice.
Yeah.
Gavins felt adult. It didn't feel necessarily like too toned back. It just felt
there was
level-headed, I guess.
Yeah. It was
there
very...
weren't people like hooking up.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't... Yeah. And there was no like... I mean, there were some like loud drunk people, but they weren't like out of hand. Like there wasn't...
Yeah, that's familiar.
I don't know who would have the craziest wedding. I mean, I could see Zach like getting out on the dance floor and just going like wild. Just
Zach
because
would need
that's
like a couple different... He would need his dance clothes. Like he would...
Yeah. He had to change. I could see him getting very sweaty.
Oh yeah. Like he would not leave the dance floor, I'm assuming.
No, I don't know. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I don't know who would have the craziest. Scott
would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that's like such a default answer. Who's
That's
gonna
true.
have the craziest anything? Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Oh man. Yeah, that's the best answer I can come up with.
I mean, because we've been to, out of our friend group, were you at any weddings that I wasn't in as well? Or, I mean, like other than family, I guess?
No. Yeah. Well, yeah, family members. But like I said, those were like super tame.
Yeah, I've only been, in my entire life, I've been at my aunt's wedding when I was like 10, then my own wedding, and then Gavin's wedding, and then I will be in your wedding. So very like a limited pool of like examples to pull from.
Yeah, that's not too many. I mean, I've been to like I've been to like cousins' weddings. Like there's a lot of cousins on actually on both sides of my family, I'm like one of the younger cousins. So I've been to a lot of the older cousins' weddings. And I was in one of my cousins' weddings. I was a junior bridesmaid because I was too young to be, I guess, a normal bridesmaid. Yeah, I was too young to be a normal bridesmaid. So yeah, I had like
So you couldn't come to the bachelorette parties. I assume
no,
what that basically
means. I was
means.
a 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not going to happen. But yeah, but other than the wedding prep, you were here.
I was there.
Yeah, at Sage's,
which leads into another point.
Right,
yeah.
At Sage's apartment, and we watched Twilight Zone, and that was the only other thing of note I had.
Yeah, that's the only two things that have happened this month.
Right, yeah, wedding and Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Twilight Zone was a banger. I mean, I came into town for a wrist surgery. I had a cyst removed on my right wrist.
Well, two, right?
I had two removed,
like, conjoined twins or something.
Yeah, conjoined twins. Yeah, and so that was fun. I mean, like, because, I don't know, they were, like, large enough to be annoying, but not, like, constant pain. It was kind of just, like, I couldn't bend my wrist back as far, and I couldn't, like, push things and stuff like that. So, limited in its annoyance, but, I don't know. I really wanted it gone for that reason, and other methods of removing it weren't working, so surgery was what happened, and I'm recovering. It's weird. My whole arm was, like, numb for a couple days. I'm starting to like be able to grip things again, which is weird. I haven't been able to like hold a controller, like use a computer properly for a while now, but it's slowly getting better. It is weird because it's like, I mean, it is like a wound on my hand that I like signed up to get. And it's just, I don't know. I haven't really ever had like a surgery before this. Like the closest thing I've had to a surgery is getting my wisdom teeth out, because I was just under anesthesia for it. So yeah, I can't believe you've never been under anesthesia.
No.
For like anything.
No, I also had a cyst removed, but they just did like local, like they just stabbed a needle in it and made it go numb. Then I had one wisdom tooth that I got taken out because it was impacted, because my mother never took me to just get them taken out. So they all came in. But yeah, and for that, they were like, well, do you want to go under? And I didn't have dental insurance. And I was like, I mean, probably, because I didn't know like how upsetting it would be to have a tooth like yanked out of my mouth while I was awake.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that'll be an extra $800. And I was like, never mind. I guess I'm just going to be awake. Yeah.
Because it's like getting them all out. I think it's like an hour or something for me, I think.
For me, it took like all of like 10 minutes. Like,
I think mine were like pretty deep, and it was all 4. So I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, mine, like I said, mine had already grown and were like out. And so they just like injected some stuff into my gums and made that like side of my mouth numb, and then he just like went in there and like ripped it out, and I didn't feel it. But it was like a freaky like sensation to have, you know, somebody like pull your tooth out and you can feel it like kind of like cracking around in there. That was not great. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I anything in my like the only reason that I'm able to tolerate the wrist thing is because it's all the way out here. Like it's not my head, my face, or my mouth.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
And like I said, I wasn't in like any sort of pain or anything, but like after he pulled it out and I sat up, like I almost teared up a little bit just because I was like, he pulled it out of my head. Like, I don't know, there was just like a little bit of like a tiny bit of fear. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I'm gonna have to. Claire doesn't really listen to the podcast, but if she does, I'm gonna have to make a note that she cannot listen to this.
Right. Because make a timestamp and be like, anything between these two, don't, because you might fall over.
Skip like 40 minutes into where we actually talk about.
Right. Because that's how it's been going. Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I don't know, like how other people react to like being put under like that point where you just like start to fall asleep, and like how you talk to other people. Because the 2 times that I have been under anesthesia, I have been really nice, is what I've been told, and grateful.
Oh, that's amazing.
I just kept being like, thank you so much. Which is funny, I guess.
I was always terrified of going under, or like, you know, getting put in that state and saying something that I shouldn't, you know, or just like, I don't know, turning into like a potty mouth in front of my parents or something. Just like, just because I don't know. I cuss a lot in my own head. Not so much out loud, but
that's my thought is like, I don't think I would just say anything I thought. I kind of feel like if I don't normally say this, or I've never even said this thing, I probably wouldn't say it when I'm under anesthesia, right? Right.
Well, that's where I get paranoid about it, because like that's also what I want to think, but it's like I don't know. I
don't know either. Apparently, whenever like, because I had my dad like drive me to and from. Apparently, whenever he came back in the room, I was just like, "Hey, Dad, thank you so much for taking me out here. That's so nice. That's so nice of you. Thank you so much." So, yeah, maybe
that's nice.
Maybe I should always be under anesthesia. I assume it was like, I don't know. I feel like from a parent's perspective, it's kind of nice to see your grown child kind of revert back to being like a very dependent, like mushy-brained,
very affectionate big baby.
Yeah, big baby. But yeah. I basically turn into a 2-year-old whenever I'm under anesthesia.
A very grateful 2-year-old.
Yeah. And yeah, while I was back in town, we watched Twilight Zone, which has been great. I got the complete box set for my birthday, which is just the best thing I could have ever. I didn't ask for it, but I'm glad it was given to me. I was under the impression that it was like super expensive, so I just didn't even like, because I don't know if there's like a reasonable place. It's on Amazon, but like the prices fluctuated a lot.
Oh,
so
weird.
I think whenever I looked at it, it was like $70, and I was like, I guess I'll never have it. But yeah, it was taken off Netflix and put onto Paramount, so it's just gone forever. Until now, I have everything, including season 4, which is apparently it wasn't on Netflix. The
bad one, right?
I guess it was bad, but I still want to see it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's so good. I just love it. It's so like comforting and uncomforting at the same time.
Right. Well, the thing that was cracking me up when we were watching it is like, you don't realize how much stuff in like modern media and storytelling is based off of, or like a callback to this show. Yeah. So like as we were watching it, we were making jokes about like, oh, this thing is going to happen next. And then it did. And you're like, oh, I didn't like, yeah, I guess it's like, it's predictable, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. Like it was probably very formative for like storytelling conventions and just like tropes and stuff like that. At least that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because it was 50s era. And I have to assume that like this show was not as predictable to like a 1950s audience as it is to us. Like, there's very, very rarely a surprise watching this, like as 70 years later.
Right.
Just because, yeah, there's been so many like references, as well as just like other creators just being inspired by this series in general, that, yeah, it feels familiar even though I've never seen it.
Right. And I love, I know that we've like talked about this in private before, but it's interesting how much it plays off of like the fear of the unknowns of space and like space travel and its
that
effect.
part is so cool.
Yeah, its effect on humans, because it was made before like we got there.
We went to the moon.
Yeah. And so to see that, like that uncertainty and, that those sort of like fears and like the what ifs like played out in their entertainment is just really fascinating.
Because that is like 90% of the episodes, it feels like.
Oh yeah,
it's
definitely
all related to space travel.
Right.
Or it's like, I would say like 60% space travel, 20% supernatural type thingies.
That sounds about right.
And then, 40% bad math. But other than Twilight Zone, me and my wife have been watching a Korean drama, Extraordinary Attorney Woo, which is about an attorney with autism in Korea. And it's been great. Highly recommend it. I don't have like too much to say about it, but it kind of feels like a real life anime.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, it's fun. It's like a Phoenix Wright, but if
he was Korean and autistic.
If he was Korean and autistic, yes.
All right.
I built another keyboard, which is something that I will probably do yearly at this rate.
Oh, good.
It's all purple. I don't know if I've sent you a picture yet. It's all purple. It's really
I think
nice.
you did, and I remember it being very purple.
I put in a little Gengar
yes.
keycap. Stands up a little bit. You know what? Let me hit the audience with a little typing test. Let me.
I can't hear it. Like, I'm just seeing letters appear on the screen and I can't hear any of it, which is really funny.
Well, you'll hear it in the actual episode.
Okay, that's good, because I didn't get a lick of it.
Let me tell you though, it sounded fantastic.
Okay, I'll have to believe you. Yeah, I have no choice.
I think the goal of every custom keyboard build is to get a keyboard that sounds kind of like the like in the Lego games, whenever you like hold X to like build, and it's like
and it makes the clickety clack. Yeah,
that's what you want,
right?
I think
that's what I would want.
Last thing that I've been up to this month is I've been revamping the office. We now have like a his and hers kind of desk. It's super long and fits better in the space.
Oh, that's so cute.
I don't think I've sent you a picture.
No, I haven't seen that. I didn't know you had a big long desk now.
I organized all of her books into like a rainbow, which just like sits off to the side of the desk, and that's been pretty fun. It's like a nice big bit of color as you come in.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not taken a recent picture. I took a picture of us like moving it together, and it was all jank. But yeah, it's not totally finished. I still want to make like a couple changes, but it's been nice having a desk that like actually fits in our tiny office.
Yeah.
And then I've been just like messing around with my CRT. I don't think I've sent you a picture of my CRT card either.
Nope.
But
I have not seen that.
It's a big old industrial metal cart that houses my CRT and then like every console that I would want displayed on a CRT. Huh. I've just gone back and acquired from my parents my Xbox 360 and PS3, or I already had that one here. Never mind. But I'm planning on hooking those up to the CRT cart as well, because I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how's because it's slightly more modern. That was whenever we started to move to HD. I played most of all of my 360 games on a regular HD TV. So I'm kind of curious, like, how it's going to look going back that far. Like, even like later stuff. Like, what if I play like GTA 5 on I don't know. What's it look like? I know there was a point where the assumption was made by the developers that you were playing it on an HD TV.
Yeah.
There was, I think, like Dead Rising was like the turning point, because I remember there was like talk about how the text was too small and unreadable whenever you played at like, standard definition.
Oh.
That it was kind of like required that you play on an HD TV to actually
To
read
be able
any
to
of the
read it,
text in
yeah.
the game. Yeah. But I'm curious. I've heard a lot of people say that this generation is still very fun to play on CRT. So
Interesting. Okay.
could be
Yeah.
fun.
Probably
I'll be
worth.
getting that set up once my hands function again.
Yeah, I was gonna say check it out when you can.
All right. So what about video games? What video games have you been playing?
Still playing Stardew Valley. I got to the point. I don't remember if I talked about this last month at all, but I got to the point where my character has a child. I decorated my house. Grandpa's ghost came back, so I'm on like year 3 of the farm, and he was like, "I'm proud of you," and then his grave caught on fire or whatever, like it does.
What?
Yeah, I've just been farming starfruit in my greenhouse, and still have not been able to brave Skull Caverns. Every time I go in there, I just get my ass kicked, and so that's progress in there has slowed down quite a lot. I also briefly checked out Cult of the Lamb because I heard good things.
I've been meaning to check this out as well. I've heard that it's very buggy currently, so I'm just gonna wait. Also, my hand doesn't work that too.
Well, yeah. That's the bugs that was a big reason why Sage stopped playing. It's not like because it's a bad game or anything. It's actually pretty fun, and there's like, it seems to have like a decent amount of thought in like the combat and the items, kind of like in Binding of Isaac. But it also has like settlement management, kind of reminiscent of Stardew Valley, kind of reminiscent of Animal Crossing. And I like settlement management a lot, so I thought I would give it a try. But then I died in a dungeon and just quit. So, because like it took away like 30% of my resources, and I was like, all right, I'll probably come back to this later.
I anticipate that whenever I play this game, I'm just going to end up going to play Hades again. Like,
yeah,
it looks very similar. And I'm not I feel like playing it will be like, it'll make me think like, oh man, Hades was so good.
Yeah, and then
I should play that again.
You'll relapse. Yeah.
Yeah. That game is so good. You need to play that. If you played a little bit of this, you got to play some Hades.
Okay. Maybe someday when I can only, I don't know. I have a weird amount of focus that cannot be directed to multiple things at once. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I went back to my Fallout New Vegas playthrough, and I beat Dead Money for the first time ever.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done the Dead Money DLC or the Lonesome Road DLC.
Okay, I fall into this. There's certain games that I love, and I've just never done like.
Yeah, you've never done like huge
a
parts
whole
of
DLC
them.
or something.
Yeah. And you know what? It was actually fun. Like, I feel like that DLC gets a lot of flack for sort of like some of the cruel mechanics in it. Like there's like a mechanic where, like you have your the radios, and they make your character is like trapped with this like bomb collar around their neck, and if you stay too close to a radio that's powered on for too long, your head explodes and you die. And that's
pretty metal.
It's understandably frustrating, but you know what? It didn't like ever cause me too many problems. So I've had like a decent amount of time.
Didn't cause you too many headaches.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I definitely cheated, and the big gimmick of that DLC, the theme of it is letting go. And so at the end of the DLC, you get into this big vault, and it has all these gold bars that you can't possibly carry out and like escape the vault, but there's a way to cheese it and like kind of cheat and get all the gold bars. And
that's so good.
I did that. So
I was gonna say there was like a similar, I think like a vault in like the original Borderlands that was, I think, kind of like that, where there's just like so much crap, and it was like, oh, you only have one, you can only go in here once. It's so sad. And then you could just like cheese and get back in there a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing. But yeah, I started another Skyrim playthrough. I have so many, probably 1,000, maybe 2,000 hours in that game. I don't know. And I started a playthrough as a mage where I am intentionally not leveling up my HP and just making myself like a glass cannon. And I think it might be the best way to play the game. Like I've been having so much fun with it.
I recently had an epiphany with Skyrim.
Yeah.
I was listening to one of the podcasts I like to listen to is called Old Gamer's Almanac, and it's a little like this show where they play one game every show and then like, you know, discuss it.
Oh.
But it's just like all games ever. It's not limited to a specific system. And they just did Skyrim, and one of the guests they had on talked about how she liked to play the game like only putting skills into like lockpicking and stealth, and then just like roaming around the world stealing things. And I'm like, that sounds, okay. It just occurred to me that you could like play this game radically differently if you wanted. Like you don't have to be like a combative person necessarily.
Right. Well, also, so like with my current playthrough, I also have like some sort of like warrior companion with me who I like will let run out in front of me and like tank all the damage for me because my character has so low HP. And I have like certain spells that are focused on like buffing them and healing them so that it's like they're the main character and I'm just the support character for them, you know?
Right.
Like I do all the loot and the crafting and like give them like better armor and stuff like that. It's a really interesting and fun way to play, I think.
I think my issue is like every time I would try to play Skyrim, I would try to do everything instead of specializing in like one thing. So I just kind of got to I only like made it like a little bit of the way into like each skill tree, and I never really got to see some of the more like fun perks and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that like conjuration is one of the most like
fun.
Those weird magic like classes. That sounds fun.
I would recommend it, but you know, Skyrim is also a big time commitment. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe Elder Scrolls 6 when that comes out.
If that comes out, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Sorry, I just hiccuped.
I like to think that, you know, Bethesda won't completely implode by the, you know, we're getting Elder Scrolls 6, right?
Oh, well,
How could that not happen?
Starfield's probably going to come out first.
Oh, yeah, it is. Like, I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is any further than just like
the JPEG
pre-development. Yeah, it's just a JPEG.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I haven't played too much, even like before I got my wrist surgery. But I did play some Celeste, and similar to your Fallout New Vegas thing, Celeste is a game that I consider to be like, like on a 10-point scale, it would be a 10. But that's really just because I love chapters 1 through 7, which is the main game, so much that like I just play those chapters over and over again.
Oh, you don't even, okay. Interesting.
I've dove into like the harder B-side and C-side stuff, but I've never done all of it. I like every time I play, I just do the main story from start to finish, and it's just like, man, that's a perfect game right there. And then I don't go too much further. But I've been trying to go into like the extra stuff. I think that I would like to get the platinum on PlayStation, which is very easy because you can get the platinum by turning on the assist mode. Yeah, but I want to get it normal.
Yeah.
Just to make things difficult for myself. So yeah, once my hand recovers, I'll jump back into intense platforming. But yeah, that's it for me.
Speaking of intense platforming, how about we get into our game, which is definitely not a platformer.
It's intense platforming in a way. You make jumps. It's all about jumping.
But you can't really miss. I mean, the platform is the ground. You know,
you could fall off. You could hit a tree.
I guess you're right.
You could land sideways or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we are discussing ATV Offroad Fury, the first in a series of 4 PlayStation 2 exclusive ATV racing games. This entry was developed by Rainbow Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Upon its release, ATV Offroad Fury was met with a resounding good amongst critics, currently sitting at a 82 on Metacritic. I couldn't find concrete sales data on this game, but I saw estimated numbers in the range of 1.7 to 1.9 million, which at this time in gaming, anything in that range is a major success. I mean, that's still a major success today, even though there's more gamers. More gamers.
We're a growing population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the number one growing population.
Right. It's gamers. I saw it didn't have like any specific data or concrete data that I can remember, but I saw this random ranking that was, I think it was like on some website that someone had captured in like the Wayback Machine. There's like a link to it on Wikipedia.
It's the top link in the references page.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Yes. So. And it has a ranking of the most successful games for at the time the list was compiled, which I think was probably around 2002 to 2004 based on like the other games that were on the list. And it was number 20, which I mean is pretty far up there, all things considered.
I was interested in the games that were above it. I took a peek and I saw that, Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, Jak and Daxter was up there. Yeah.
19 on the list. Tony Hawk, 13. A lot of Nintendo games were higher up. Even though the GameCube did not sell as well, Nintendo notoriously has a very high attachment rate with a lot of its software. Like, everyone who bought this system is buying it for these games. So, of course, these sell incredibly well.
Right.
But also, like, Final Fantasy X was number 11. Kingdom Hearts was number 7.
Yes.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's like it's got Goofy in it.
Well, I was going to say it's got, Mickey Mouse is in there somewhere.
Number 1 is Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which makes sense.
Yeah, I was not surprised by that at all.
But yeah, very very interesting to see what else was on this list for. Let me check what the date range was.
Yeah, I just sort of guessed 2002 to 2004 because like most of the things on there I knew came out in 2002.
I want to say it's 2006 is like the end cap.
Oh, really? Huh.
Maybe it's 2004. It was updated on July 2006, which is why.
I remember Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper were also on there, and that made me very happy.
So yeah, solid list of numbers if anyone's interested.
So do you want to talk about Rainbow Studios a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling up with my weak ass hand.
Oh.
So yeah, this game was developed by Rainbow Studios. Rainbow Studios was a prolific developer of racing and sports games during the PS2 era. They would go on to develop multiple games in the MX versus ATV series, which I don't know if you realized that's what this, like, I didn't realize that until looking into it. I was assuming that was just some other, I thought MX versus ATV was its own thing. It wasn't like a crossover between MX, motocross, whatever, and then ATV Offroad Fury. I did not realize that. But that's interesting. It's a very weird cross. I don't know, because it's just two vehicles. It's not like I don't know. But they developed the not every game in the ATV Offroad Fury series or the MX vs ATV series, but a lot of them. And Star Wars Racer's Revenge. They did Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX 2, as well as the ultimate racing video game Disney Pixar's Cars.
Oh snap!
So yeah, they've definitely they've been working on some heavy hitters. Just some background information on Rainbow Studios as a developer. In January of 2002, they were acquired by THQ, and then in 2005, the founder Earl Jared, which is a fun, two first names.
Yeah, I was
combo.
gonna say two first names. Yeah.
And then like a handful of employees would leave to go found another studio, 2XL Games. I'm not familiar with anything that they've developed off the top of my head, but later in 2008, there was another exodus from the studio where 3 more veterans would leave to go find another studio, or found another studio. They didn't discover it.
Yeah, I was going to say, they found it like in the South American jungle. It's like some forgotten temple.
Like, oh my God, I found a decrepit video game development studio in South America. But yeah, so there was a lot of people leaving, in the period of time after this game was released. And then eventually, after like multiple rounds of layoffs, it was rebranded and then ultimately shut down in 2011.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. But like many of these like sort of middle tier games, IPs, and development studios. It was purchased by Nordic Games at the time, now known as THQ Nordic, and revitalized. They brought back both Rainbow Studios as well as the MX vs. ATV franchise. And according to my sources, it's in the same location with a lot of the same people, or, some of the same people. And the MX vs. ATV series is still going. The most recent release was actually in June of this year. So, yeah, I didn't realize any of this. I didn't realize that this was originally two separate series that were eventually, converged into one, racing game crossover.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think really happens in video games very often, right?
It's pretty cool. The fact that it was, shut down and now is kind of revitalized under the same name is working on the same franchise. It's cool.
Yeah.
They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
See game developers outside of California, I think.
It's also thematic because, Phoenix rising again from the ashes.
Right.
I
thought you were going to say just Phoenix, Arizona is a little dusty and this game is a little dusty.
No, it was prophetic. It was
You're right.
fate. Yeah.
Well, they renamed them before the original THQ shut them down. They renamed them Digital Studios Phoenix.
But probably for the location and not the implication that they would always rise again from the ashes, I'm assuming, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
God's plan.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Because, God and Phoenixes exist in the... Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, in the same space, definitely.
But yeah, this is it's cool, redemption. I don't know. The games they make now aren't necessarily that well received, so I don't want to call it a redemption.
Right.
But just it's cool that these games still exist. I've watched a couple videos of people who love this series, and it is there's an audience for this type of racing game.
Well, yeah, because you can have fun on an ATV without, the threat of breaking your back.
Dying.
Yeah.
The risk of death is not as prevalent.
Right.
But from what I gathered, just, brief little Google or YouTube search looking for people who, review these games and talk about these games. It seems like more people are interested in them from the motocross angle rather than the ATV angle. So there's that.
Well, I mean, honestly, yeah. What's cool at motocross? That's the two, the bikes, right? Not the.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say honestly, what's cooler though, a 4-wheeler or a bike? I think I would pick a bike.
4-wheelers are inherently a little uncool.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're a little.
Maybe they're
dopey.
Fun to ride around on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. It wouldn't be my first choice in some sort of apocalypse or something like that. That's the only situation I can see myself riding one of these things. I don't know. But I did jump into, I believe it was MX vs. ATV All Out, which is on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, whatever. And it had an open world component to it. I didn't make it too far because my hand didn't work.
Right.
But I was using my palm as the throttle and stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I didn't really play the game, but it was it looked like a modern rendition of these PS2 versions of, or PS2 entries in the series. So
okay.
They've stayed faithful to some extent.
Yeah. So that just reminded me, and this is going to go into the next topic, which is what is our history with this game? So my history, it's not. So I played a ton of ATV Offroad Fury 2.
Yes.
And I got it as a hand-me-down from my cousin who was cleaning out some PS2 games he didn't want anymore, and that was one of them. I think he had 2 copies of it somehow, and I got one of them, I think. I think that's what happened. Interesting. But he also had that PS2 controller that is a steering wheel. I
gotta see this.
It's it was it had its own little stand thing, and you would put your legs on either side of it to hold it down, but you had basically a steering wheel up in front of you, and it had the buttons on the face of the steering wheel and stuff. And I remember,
did it come with pedals as well?
No,
or was it?
It did not. It didn't have pedals. No, it was just the steering wheel. but I played the game a lot with that steering wheel, and I just remembered that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So that would work, right? I mean, it wasn't like
Yeah. Well,
okay.
no, wait. There was an issue where, so you know the thing where you have to like flick the left analog stick to like get momentum for a jump?
Right.
Yeah, that was the problem. You couldn't do that.
Yeah. You can't just like do a sharp turn and then another sharp turn or something. But yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, I was a child and I didn't even realize that that was something I could do in the game to begin with, because at least in the second game, the tutorial is like weirdly hidden from you. So I didn't know that that was the thing.
Did you play the tutorial in this game by chance?
No, I didn't. Because I already knew how it worked.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to like, just like the narrator and everything. It was like, man, this is the early 2000s. It's
was it just some guy?
ATV
Yeah.
Offroad Fury. But it's like none of the fanfare. It's like you're just sitting in a track, like you can't move yet, and there's just guy like screaming at you. Like, yeah.
That's amazing.
I've seen a lot of steering wheels. I assume most of them are for car-based racing games.
Yes. That's considering ATVs don't have a steering wheel, they have
they
handles, but
yeah. I don't know. It'd be fun to like have like a steering wheel for certain racing games, because I'm a casual racing game enjoyer. I'm not like super into it. I don't understand many things about cars, but I'm like, it'd be fun to play this with a wheel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't see myself housing a wheel. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'll use it once, then it'll just like sit in my closet. It's just like,
right. Well, that's what I also did with the wheel. Is I'm pretty sure it's at my dad's house somewhere. Like this was like the only game it could sort of work with. So.
Because you've held on to your PS2 collection.
Yes, I do. I have.
We should bust out that wheel. Try to like, we could do Marvel versus Capcom. I will use the Guitar Hero.
Okay. Yeah.
And you use the steering wheel, and we just see who wins.
I'm sure that would go over so well. Yeah, why not?
All right. My history with the game is, similar to you in that I played the second game way more than this game. I believe that it was a pack-in with our PS2. I'm not like positive. I just know that we had the not for resale version.
Oh.
So I kind of assumed that it was a pack-in with our PS2, unless we've like bought it from a GameStop or something like that. But yeah, definitely more familiar with the second game. We did own the first game, but always gravitated to that big old number 2. That's it for me. How much did you play for this episode?
This was a couple weeks ago, so forgive me because I don't remember much, but I did the Pro Career and the motocross thing. I've never really been one for like the freestyle trick side of racing games, so I didn't
You're not
really
missing much, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I didn't really touch that. Or like does this one have an endurance category? Because I know that the second one does.
Yeah, it's got the cross country enduro.
Yeah, I didn't touch that.
Oh man, you're missing out.
Oh, my
I'll
bad.
talk about that later though.
Okay.
But yeah, I played through Pro Career. I cheated. I used the best bike, or not bike, ATV, and then I played through all of the other extra tracks. So I'm a cheater.
Oh boy. That means all of your other opinions are invalidated, and
yeah, the game was just kind of hard. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I don't even have the excuse of me trying to play it with a broken hand. My hand was fully functioning at this time.
Right.
So.
So speaking of, the game being difficult, let's get into the mechanics and talk about why that is.
Yeah. So this is, it's a racing game, and it doesn't like. It's nothing like completely out of the realm of like what you'd expect from a traditional racing game, but there are like a couple like ATV related mechanics that kind of differentiate it from your standard Need for Speed or whatever. It's really reliant on, I would say like at its core, it's all about maintaining your momentum rather than like fast acceleration. I mean, that's like every racing game, but it's like, you got to maintain your momentum through like multiple series of jumps, and you kind of have to like memorize the course to kind of know when the jumps are coming. Is this like a series of 3 jumps? or 4? Or, like, how many do you shoot for? Do you like try to like clear everything, or just like kind of ride each jump as it goes? So that's kind of like where most of the thinky part of this game comes from.
Very
But
technical term is the thinky part.
But yeah, I mean, like, what was your experience like diving into this game's, very like limited mechanics?
Yeah. Okay. So the thing about, I feel like this game and the second game are super similar. So if I like accidentally cross my wires and like talk about, did this one have the same feature where, because I don't remember fiddling with it, where you could like adjust the stats of your ATV and like make it more like the engine more focused on top speed or acceleration?
It did have I believe it had a little bit of that. I know it had like a handful of ATVs to choose from,
Right.
but I didn't really dive into it because my ATV was maxed out, baby.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to
anything.
worry about it, right?
I never really mess with any of like the tuning aspects of cars in like any racing game that I play. But
yeah. So from what I was gonna say is, I don't think, like, I mean, obviously from like the lowest tier ATV to like the maxed out one, you're gonna notice a difference. But I feel like between the ones that are like within those certain tiers, it's more about like, what color do you want? Like, because which one do you like, the purple one or the yellow one?
Yeah. I mean, like, I picked initially before I gave up and cheated. I was using like, I think it was the fastest and like least or like lowest in cornering or whatever traction maybe. But yeah, I still felt like, I can turn pretty tight. Like, all of these ATVs like turn really tight.
Yeah, I remember that throwing me off.
Yeah.
Well, because like a real ATV kind of is like, the impression I get is that it's kind of like slippery on like the mud and everything. So yeah, I had the same thing where I was like, felt regularly surprised by how tightly I could make some of the turns.
I guess it kind of makes sense because just like how an ATV is, constructed, where like the two sets of wheels are very close to each other compared to like a car or something. So
yeah,
turning like both front wheels should turn you much faster. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's hard for me to tell if this is like, if this would be considered like a more like grounded simulation, or if it's really arcadey. Like, I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know, because I mean, the more that you race on a track, the more efficient you're going to be, because you're going to figure out how to do certain jumps, or like what amount of, I guess, power to put behind your jumps. I don't know what else to call it, that little like meter thingy. So I feel like it's not entirely, I mean, there's some skill, but it almost seems more reliant on like memorization. I don't know.
I mean,
don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I watched a speed run of this game, and I was expecting to have my pants blown off, but
no.
I mean,
I think I watched the same speed run, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it just seems pretty. I mean, obviously he's better at the game than me, but like, it is just like, really fine tuning the route and just kind of like committing that to memory, basically.
Well, and also, maybe gathered. Like cutting corners a little bit here or there, like going out of bounds for a second to cut a corner. And
oh yeah, I didn't watch it like thoroughly enough to see if there were any like fun out of bounds glitches.
No, if there was, it was just for like 2 seconds, not anything crazy. But yeah, how did you feel about the tricks?
When we did the SSX episode, I said that like tricks were like my favorite part of the game, and that's because it had like a really fleshed out trick system, and tricks were like baked into the like gameplay loop where you do tricks to gain speed. This is just kind of like tricks are there. I don't even think I knew tricks existed whenever I played this game as a kid. There's no real reason to do any of them, from what I gathered. Like,
no, well, aside from like the specific,
the trick specific,
yeah,
like other than when it's just about the tricks.
Right. And that makes it feel kind of like an afterthought, like just...
Yeah, it does. Also, like landing them is like kind of difficult. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, just on like a regular track where there's not like insane jumps, it's pretty hard to like comfortably pull off a trick. It's just kind of there.
Did you ever see the AI trying to do a trick and then like wipe themselves out?
Oh, I didn't. Did you?
See, I remember that happening a lot in the second game, but honestly, in this one, I don't think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, like, the AI was like the way that they were treated for like wrecks and respawns and stuff. I don't know if you got this too, but felt very unfair to me. I don't know like how intense they tuned like the rubber banding and stuff to be. Once I cheated and unlocked the best ATV, it was very difficult for them to catch up to me. But before that, I felt like they tended to like clump up together.
Yes, they do.
So I would get passed by all of them at once.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, it was like what kept happening to me is like I would have this like lead built up and then I would hit like maybe 2 jumps wrong in a row. And by wrong, I don't mean I wouldn't crash or anything. I would just like lose my momentum and then they would all like swarm past me and just like leave me. And I would be like, oh, like that kind of sucks. Like you have to be consistent and like hit everything correctly to not lose your lead.
And from what I gathered, the respawning for you as the player, like after you did a jump or something, it would take you back to where you were last on the ground before you crashed, like in the track.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because you get put back like way far. Like you mess up a jump and it's like, oh god.
Well, yeah, depending on how big the jump was. Yeah.
Yeah. But I noticed on multiple occasions the AI wrecking behind me and then spawning in front of me.
Yes.
So
yeah, they do that. And then they, I think for like a split second, they're like kind of like a ghost and they don't have a collision. And then all of a sudden they get collision. So you might like run into them and it's really annoying.
Yeah. It also felt like they respawned instantly, whereas I was sitting there taking my sweet time to get back on the bike.
Right. Well, and also when you respawn, you don't have the momentum that you had when you approached the jump before you wrecked. So you're just kind of like screwed over and you have to like slowly climb over these hills while everybody else is like speeding off. And then it takes forever to get caught back up. And then, it's kind of difficult.
Depending on the track, it can definitely be very punishing.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're using a regular bike, again, not
not
bike,
right.
ATV. Yeah. I think the AI overall felt a little too difficult for my liking. But maybe I just sucked at the game. How was it for you?
I don't know how to describe this. I feel like the more you play the game, the less... I mean, like, the obviously, the more familiar... Like I said, the more familiar you get with the tracks, the less times you're going to, like, have issues and, like, lose your momentum. So I think it can be, like, overly punishing to new players, but maybe kind of boring to really experienced players.
Yeah.
Because if you get to a point where you just leave them in the dust every time, because like you know the game so well, I mean, like, is that satisfying or do you get bored because, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's...
At that point, I guess it's like you're competing against yourself for time.
Probably, yeah. Well, because doesn't it have... Did this one have...
It has like
trackers?
high scores.
Yeah, I was going to say it had like high scores for certain things like longest jumps, fastest laps. But I didn't personally get a whole lot of satisfaction from those.
Yeah. I mean, like, I love, in like regular games, like perfecting, of the games I love, like Celeste and stuff, like trying to perfect and like be faster than I was previously at it.
Yeah.
But honestly, for a lot of racing games, I don't love like the repetition of really mastering a track in the same way.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it doesn't speak to me in that sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like if they had, like some use for, or like some like, so like if like the records, so like, let's say like fastest lap or, like longest jump, if they had like some sort of achievement reward system tied to those records, I think that would make it, you would care about them and want to like beat them.
Yeah,
like, if you complete a lap within this certain amount of time, you unlock like maybe a new skin or like big head mode or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd
Like,
be cool. I think cosmetic rewards would be really cool.
Yeah, well, because that's already like kind of in the game. But if you like lock the really cool looking gear behind, you know, like gameplay achievements, I think that might make it more engaging.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But I think as is, it's locked behind, like, is it a point system or something?
To unlock stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I had the best
Because you cheated. Well, from it was my understanding that you would do like the career mode and like get points for completing like the competitive championship thingies, and then you could use that to unlock stuff.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me to like check for like new gear, because I liked that the gear I had matched the bike.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, fair enough.
I was like, looks good to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, new bikes and stuff. I was like, yeah, I didn't even think about it. So, whoops. But that's all I have to say for the mechanics.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to tracks and course design. So the game is broken up into 4 like categories of events. You have the Maxis Nationals. I've only read it. I've never heard it, so I assume that's how you say it.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, Stadium Supercross, Freestyle Competition, and Cross Country Endurance, or Enduro. So yeah, I mean, like, of these 4, I know you didn't like the freestyle competitions, but like,
no.
What was your favorite?
Probably Maxis Nationals, just because of the like location variety, and I always liked it when the tracks would include like props of some kind. I mean, even if you don't like really have anything to do with them, but I think there's one that has like a ski lift. I think my favorite scenery wise was like the red rock.
Is it Canyon?
Yeah, something. Well, Red Rock Canyon. Well, I mean that's a location in New Vegas, so I don't know if it's actually called Red Rock Canyon, but I want to say that's what it was, like Red Rock something.
Okay.
And that was my favorite, like scenery wise, because it was kind of fun.
I agree. Yeah, like at least so like the Maxis Nationals compared to the Stadium Supercross, which the Stadium Supercross is like an in arena like dirt bike or ATV track. So it's all very visually similar, like all of those races. And I definitely liked how the Maxis Nationals like moved you from location to location and like had like, you know, just different scenery. Even if it like, you know, was the same tracks and stuff, it felt like the Maxis tracks were like way more like crazy, like they would have some crazy jumps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stadium Supercross stuff felt more tame to me.
It felt more like realistic almost.
Yeah.
Well, except the hyper, like the super pixelated flat crowd was like cracking me up just because.
Oh, I mean, yeah. That's definitely a thing of this time.
Yeah.
But I think overall, my favorite was probably, even though I feel like it wasn't like super well realized in this game, I really like the cross-country enduro races. Like how they are in this game, it's essentially 5 like fairly large maps set in some very creative places. I think that those maps definitely have the most creativity as far as like location and like things you can interact with. Like one is in like a train yard, one's on like a airport / military base. One has like all these pipes and stuff that you can like drive through. So there's like a lot of...
I think I remember seeing the pipes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah,
they're never really like worked into any of the events and stuff. Any of like the pre-made events that are there, because you can like set like, do you want a short race, a medium race, or a long race? And then it will have like checkpoints and stuff generated throughout. But they don't really take advantage of like all the cool stuff in each location. There is a map editor or a waypoint editor, which is kind of janky. You kind of just drive around and drop checkpoints.
Okay.
And
that's funny.
It works, and you can like save it and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can't like I was trying to make a course where I had to drive through the pipes on on like the track with the pipes and stuff. But
Yeah.
you can't like set it to where you have to do that. You kind of just have to, like, that would pretty much be limited to you playing with your friends and just agreeing to all go through the pipes kind of thing.
Oh, would the waypoint, would it just like work if you drove like underneath it or something?
Yeah, you could just like, because you couldn't
okay.
like set it on the pipes and the pipes would kind of go up into the air.
Okay.
So you could kind of just like hit the first checkpoint and then just like drive around to the end of the pipes.
Well, that kind of sucks. Yeah, that it wasn't able to like recognize that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It kind of sucks because like it's there, like, but they
Right.
didn't really utilize it.
Yeah.
And it's like clearly made for you to drive on. It's
Right.
or at least try to drive on. It wasn't perfect, but yeah, stuff like that not being like super well realized kind of sucks. I definitely prefer Max's just supercross and freestyle competitions just like don't even matter. Yeah, because they're just kind of like, I don't really care about the trick system in this. And all of those freestyle competitions are like limited to just the cross-country tracks, like the big open world sort of playgrounds. And I would have liked to have seen there just be like a race mode and a trick mode or something for like every regular track as well. Just to like, give it something.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to progression then.
We touched on this a little bit before, but fairly limited in like what you can unlock as far like from my perspective, having the best bike in the game, it was essentially just me going through Pro Career to unlock all the tracks, which I don't feel like you should have to do personally. I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't like unlocking courses. Yeah, I like just having, especially for this type of game. This feels like a game that you don't want to like have like, I don't know. You just want to pop it in. You know, you bought the game, just pop it in, play whatever course you want. You don't want to have to like work your way through like a gauntlet of...
Well, especially if you like bring it over to a friend's house, you know, and then you pop it on their system and then it's like, oh, wait, we can't do the cool stuff. We have to...
Exactly. Yeah, like you would have to have a memory card with you at all times.
Yeah, that would suck.
At all times, whenever you needed to.
Yeah, in your back pocket. Stick it in your wallet. Yeah.
But yeah, I like unlocking like cosmetic stuff especially, and I'm kind of fine with unlocking like ATVs and stuff, but I really wish all the courses were just available from the get-go.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There is a cheat code for it, so it's like kind of a thing. You can kind of just unlock all the courses, but...
Right, but back in the day, if you had dial-up internet connection, you would have had to waited like 20 minutes to get your cheat codes.
Or you would have had to like buy that cheat code book from like, the Scholastic Book Fair or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did you have any like hot takes on the progression in this game?
No, not particularly. I mean, also, yeah, my only point would have been the same thing about the courses. Just like I said, for the sake of like, you know, like I said, you want to be able to, especially if you're doing like multiplayer, you want to have access to all the content right away.
Exactly. One thing I thought was weird was after you complete your Pro Career, it just like deletes that save slot. So it's like, yeah, you finished it. All right, that's it. Here's this cutscene. Goodbye.
I don't think I realized that, which is very odd.
I would consider a major component of this game and other, you know, sports/extreme sports games like this to be its soundtrack. And this game in particular has what I consider to be a pretty like all-round very solid, very few like low points soundtrack. Very nostalgic for me growing up in this era and hearing music from this time. But yeah, how do you feel?
So like we said earlier, I played the second game, like I never had played this one before. So like my nostalgia is definitely more for the second game's soundtrack. But this one is a great snapshot of what like rock music sounded like at the time. Yeah. Like it's like a very good cultural relic of some kind. And I love it for that reason.
What would you say like the overall, because it's like rock, but there's also like some metal, which I believe it's called like new metal.
Yes, but that's exactly what you would call it. Yeah, it's new metal. Yeah.
And then like there's some like sort of punk vibes that I get from certain songs as well. Yeah. Particularly like the Strung Out songs, Scarecrow and Mephisto. Is that what you say?
Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Those felt like more punky to me, just like with the vocals and the instrumentation and stuff. But yeah, before we dive too heavily into the soundtrack, I just want to throw out a little disclaimer. I am a musical idiot, so I don't know too much about anything.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah. We're not like super familiar with like
musical terminology,
bands,
or different bands,
music genres.
Yeah.
I love music and I like analyzing music to some extent, but I don't analyze it to the same degree that I analyze like other things that I like. So
right.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think a big hang up with this is going to be the terminology, because it's like, haha, I like when that song makes that noise, but we don't know what the noise is called.
I like this section of the song. I don't know what it's called.
Right.
Chorus?
I don't know
maybe?
what they're doing. Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how we should tackle this. I listed every song and then just kind of like a quick few takes that I had listening through it.
Yeah, I guess maybe we can talk about, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to be able to differentiate between most of these. Honestly, the soundtrack, it's very good.
It's very good.
But it's hard for me to recall distinct songs because a lot of them have a very, very similar vibe. And that makes it a good, cohesive soundtrack.
I've kind of gotten to the point where I think I can differentiate. I'm very familiar with it now because I'm pretty sure that I have listened to the soundtrack for longer than I played the game at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
that's really funny.
made my own Spotify playlist of all of these songs, and it has been a mainstay for these past few weeks. So
yeah. Well, that's good. But yeah, so I guess, if you just want to talk about, like I said, I don't remember all of these, so I'm probably not going to be able to speak to, I definitely know what my favorites were, and I have 2 of those. So
let me pull up Spotify and just get a little taste of each song before I talk about it.
All right. Atlanta. That's the first one,
Let's
right?
do Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of Atlanta has like garage band vibes. Like this is just a loud garage band having fun.
Yeah. I'm kind of like ignoring my own personal tastes and stuff whenever I'm thinking about like what is and isn't like a good song for ATV Offroad Fury. It's kind of like whether or not it fits the vibe. Like I want something a little grungy, I guess.
Right.
A little dusty and dirty. I want a dirty old song in there. Let's be like a little intense and stuff. And this is just like it checks like pretty much all of those. Like it is very appropriate for
fitting.
It's very fitting. Yeah.
Now this is not too much farther down the list. Click was my favorite. Yes. Specifically, I think because the bass line has kind of a groovy flair to it, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's not like straight through the entire song is not like hard rock song. It's got like some electronic sort of like synthy stuff going on too.
Yeah.
Which I like, but whenever it like picks up, I'm like, this is just so ATV. Like this is like the go-to song for me as well for this game. And that was Click by Ultraspank.
Yes.
Ultraspank's second song on this
Crumble
playlist does not resonate with me in the same way. It's definitely one of the songs that leans more towards like metal and like it's not screamo, but it's like the metal with the screaming. Again, this is where our lack of musical knowledge sort of hurts this conversation, but that was less. This is my least favorite song personally.
Yeah, I feel like Crumble almost sounds like the beginning sounds almost a bit too samey to Click. And Screaming does not, well, because Sage likes screamo and like heavy metal, so I think his music taste is kind of like rubbed off on me, or at least made me like more able to tolerate that sort of a thing.
I mean, yeah.
But I definitely like Click better.
I don't personally like this song. Like, I wouldn't just listen to this heavy of metal, I guess. But
yeah,
if it just, and it doesn't really, I personally don't think it fits the ATV Offroad Fury vibe as well as...
It's a little bit too heavy.
It's too intense. You know, we're just racing ATVs, guys. We're not like committing homicide.
Right.
Like, this is
well, depending on how you land on, you know, if you run over your opponent, you might be.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I could see myself enjoying this song inside of a different game, maybe.
A zombie thing. You just
I put down Doom.
Yeah.
Just something really intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, not for ATV Offroad Fury.
I see you had the same thought about Anthrax. It's a little too intense.
A little too intense, but the screaming is a little bit pulled back in a way that I can kind of vibe with. I was just gonna say it's a little quirky whenever they got like the second vocal or like the second voice. I don't know if it's the same guy or what. Around like 1 minute 40 seconds.
You know who this sounds like? They sound like Nickelback. Like the vocals sound like Nickelback to me.
Oh no. Nickelback would be at home on this. I gotta be
honestly,
honest,
yeah, they would.
Wouldn't bat an eye.
And you said Denial sounds dusty.
Oh, dusty. This song is like very ATV off.
Like you pull out the CD and just dirt. There's a clump of dirt that falls on the floor.
This is the type of song you listen to in the desert.
Yeah.
Is industrial? Industrial is a genre of music.
Yeah.
But like, is the song industrial?
You
can't spell industrial without dust.
I wouldn't call this industrial, no. I don't think so.
What even is industrial music? Am I like way off base here?
It's very the vocals have like a very like gritty kind of raspiness to them. And I don't know if that's adding to it.
Okay. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be it. Okay, moving on.
All right.
Fishbowl, Straw Horse.
This was a never skip. Okay.
Oh, this was really solid.
I don't remember feeling strongly about this one, but let me.
I
like this.
Yeah. There's one part in the song where it just really reminds me of SSX. I'm gonna try to find that.
These songs are so good.
I
genuinely like them a lot.
Okay. 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay.
Whenever the music like pulls back.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain that's like a sample from like SSX. Not from SSX, but it was used in SSX in some way.
Oh.
It just sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it had like a synth like drum. It was kind of like a synth the drum roll sort of a sound.
Yeah, it sounds like when you're in the air in SSX.
Yeah. Like the dynamic, like how the soundtrack was dynamic.
Music.
Yeah. I think this game could have benefited from that. I don't know how they would have possibly made that happen, but well, I guess SSX made it happen, so whatever.
I guess you're not taking like as big of a jump.
Yeah, that's true.
Or as big of jumps and stuff. So I don't know. Like SSX is like very arcadey and exaggerated. So you're taking like massive falls and stuff. So I don't know.
The opening of Isolate reminds me of Nirvana.
Yeah. Grungy and stuff.
Yeah, it's grungy.
This was the first song, like, it's not the first song I heard, but whenever I heard this song, it started to unlock all of these memories of these various tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Claire also was like, seemed to remember this, so I think it was like just a popular song on the radio, maybe.
Oh,
or
really?
Something. But yeah, I really like this song.
And then, of course, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver.
Yes.
Very different from anything else on the soundtrack.
Yeah, you said it was from South Park?
So the band Primus that performs, that like wrote and performed the song, also did the South Park theme, like the opening intro song.
I really like the instrumentation on it, honestly. Like it's
funky.
It's very quirky.
Yes.
It's very out there.
And that's sort of like Primus's thing. Like all of their music is very just weird.
But it also fits the game pretty dang well.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I could see myself, like, wiping out on an ATV to this.
Yeah, Mephisto and Scarecrow are the two strung out songs on this list. They might as well be the same song for me. I like them both, but they feel very similar to each other. It's like a punky, sort of garagey sound. It's got drums.
There's a guy on a guitar, probably.
There's a guy on a guitar, probably.
Do you want to talk about your Soundgarden loophole or rabbit hole that was probably spawned from Spoon Man?
So like I dove into like when I was compiling the just the playlist inside of Spotify, when I added Spoon Man, I was paying attention to like the amount of plays and stuff. Whatever the Spotify metric is for like popularity.
Yeah.
I think it's like plays within like the last month or something like that. But I saw this one was like absurdly high compared to the rest of them. And I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, Soundgarden, that sounds pretty familiar. And then I was like, oh, they're the Black Hole Sun people. And I was like, I really like this music. It's pretty good. But yeah, I listened to basically their entire Super Unknown album, which is what Spoon Man is from. So
nice.
I feel like this is probably the biggest band on this list. Again, not knowing too much about music at this time.
It's at least the one that we remember in like by today's like modern standards. I don't know.
Is Alice in Chains pretty big too? Oh, they're bigger.
Sage,
never mind.
I was gonna say Sage could probably speak to that more than I could, but that sounds familiar, very familiar to me. Yeah.
Yeah, just like I checked monthly listeners and they are on the same level as Soundgarden. So.
Oh, okay.
But it's just slightly higher. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe are they still making music? Is maybe that part of?
I think they might be.
No, they doesn't look like
that. See, we don't know anything.
We don't know anything, guys.
Yeah.
Superfly, very punky.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites.
Okay.
It feels very irreverent.
Trying to get through an ad so I can listen to it. Oh, that bass is like very low.
Oh yeah,
almost to the point where it's crunchy.
Oh yeah, it's like tuned so low it's like falling off the bass. It's
right.
just like a loose string.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just loud and gritty.
It's a little cheesy at certain parts, but I really like that.
Oh yeah, I haven't been paying attention to the words at all. I'm sure they're dated.
Stop and Panic.
Oh.
I like this song.
I didn't.
It feels like it goes on a little too long.
Yeah. I didn't like the robotic or like the weird sounding voices. It just
feels
upset me a little bit.
I don't know how well it fits this game though. Like
it's okay.
It's fine, but I feel like it feels like it's from like SSX or something. Like
yeah.
Just like it feels like very like remixed and digital and I don't know if that's necessarily the dusty ATV vibe that I'm looking for.
Right. So. Them Bones, you asked if it sounds like Pearl Jam or am I stupid? No, I think the vocals sound a lot like Pearl Jam.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This song, I think I said this about Click, but I was not thinking about Them Bones at the time. I think this is like, I mean, like if you were to scientifically measure which of these songs is most dusty, this song is extremely dusty.
Yeah, yeah.
This feels very appropriate to be like listening to while you're like riding through like some sort of like desert track on an ATV.
Yeah. And then there's Yo Future.
Yo Future, even more so than Stop and Panic, sounds like an SSX song to me.
I was gonna say I don't remember liking this one all that much. Oh wait, no, it's
all
right.
I liked it.
Oh, I like the drum beat. The drum beat's fun.
Yeah.
I take that back.
When it gets going, it's like this feels like a different song. I mean, like a different game. I mean,
yeah. Paranoia does not have it's a song does not have an artist. Well, on my playlist it's listed as APM Paranoia, but it's not
APM Paranoia.
Yeah, it's not on Spotify, so we don't really know where it came from.
I believe APM is like the group /
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think this might be like music from the library or something, unless it was made for the game specifically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That one was one of my favorites because the intro drum beat was just so fun, and I liked that a lot.
Oh, Everything You Are by Priestess is the last song on the list, and I really like it. It's very like chaotic, and it's like screaming, but it's not like metal screaming. It's like punk screaming, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, it just feels like very chaotic and intense. Very fun to listen to while you're like going fast or anything like that. So
this is not on my playlist, so let me give it a listen.
Oh, okay.
I have to watch this State Farm ad first.
Yeah, you gotta.
Which we're not sponsored by State Farm, so they don't get anything. Just bleep out the name. They don't deserve to. Oh. Yeah, this is punk. It kind of reminds me of Metallica a little bit.
Real quick, I feel like if you were like if you're a fan of music, especially from this era, I assume it feels like us, like if we were to go and listen to like a gaming podcast from someone who barely understands games. Like,
oh yeah.
like this is a lot like Mario, I think, with the jumping and stuff. So
it's just like a platformer, and we're like, you don't even understand.
Dude, this is so much like Mario, like to a T. This is Mario.
Dude, I don't know, man. This song is just really dusty. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even a musical term, but it's just dusty, okay? You have to believe
this Mario game is really jumpy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just really colorful. Mario has a lot of colors. And
there's so many colors and so many like movement. There's so much movement happening on screen. It's crazy. All right. What were your do you have like a top 3? I see that you have 2 listed, but
yeah, I was gonna say Paranoia and Click were the ones that I liked a lot. I also liked Spoon Man, I think would be my 3rd.
I like Spoon Man a lot too.
Yeah.
Personally, I made my top 3 list as just songs that nail the vibe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Denial, Click, and then Them Bones, I think just are like the perfect songs to be listening to, jamming out to while you're driving over all these inconvenient jumps, you know, trying to fight this very vicious AI or cheating and just destroying them.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the songs that I think fit the game the best. Crumble is, like I said, the only song I really just straight up did not enjoy. Did you have any that just kind of like stuck out in your head as like, I'd skip this?
Probably Crumble. Or no. The Stop and Panic.
Yeah.
Because the electronic voice kind of like grated on my senses a little bit.
It's also like an 8-minute long song.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's cut down for the game, but it's very long on Spotify. So, all right. ATV Offroad Fury is a PlayStation exclusive franchise, as far as I know. It was only ever made available on the PS2. I do not believe it was like a digital game on the PS3 or anything like that. I assume that there's like a licensing issue there.
That's probably locked up in all sorts of like red tape.
Yeah, it's probably just like, well, first of all, the soundtrack. That's definitely a very possible component of that, but also like the fact that it was from Rainbow Studios when they were part of THQ, and then it was like I don't know, like the amount of times the stuff is transferred around is probably very confusing. But luckily, this game is dirt cheap, very appropriate to be dirt cheap. It's like $6 on eBay, like. And if you own a PS2, you probably have this. Just look inside that collection. Morgan, you played this on an emulator. Can you speak to that being a better or worse way to play?
So I would say that for once, it is, well, it could be that my settings, like I just wasn't optimizing things as well as I could have because I didn't bother to like dig into what I could do to make it run the best. I think, and I could be remembering wrong because I did this quite a while ago, but I think there might have been an issue with the graphics where I had to switch from using my graphics card to some like sort of like emulated graphics card. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't understand the technicalness of all that. So if I'm saying something stupid, please don't come after me. But I had to tweak the graphics settings because it wasn't compatible with whatever I had going on. And then also with when all of the AI racers were on screen, the frame rate would dip quite a bit. And so that was like an extra motivator to be better at the game because it's more fun when not as many of them are on screen because the game runs faster. Yeah. So that kind of sucked.
That's funny.
So if you can play it on a PlayStation 2, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, and most people probably can. I mean, price is well, if you have a PS2, price is certainly not a limiting factor in this. I assume this must be like one of the cheapest, most available PS2 games that are like in the market right now.
Probably because it sold so well and there's so many copies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I want to speak to for the emulator, I believe that this game uses pressure sensitive, like the analog buttons for like speed and stuff. So I assume that you were just like stuck with like a full send every time.
I didn't notice anything that felt off.
I mean, I usually was sending it all the way too. I wasn't really like feathering my gas or anything like that.
There's no need to, really. I don't think.
I think at like a higher level, you might want to have that flexibility for like precisely, giving this jump this precise amount of gas or something like that. But yeah, that's maybe something to consider.
Yeah.
All right. Do we recommend this game, Morgan?
Yes, I would recommend it. It also might be worth checking out as like a fun pastime with a friend, or maybe if you both have some nostalgia. I don't think that you're going to get hours and hours and hours of entertainment out of this. It's probably going to be like maybe 5 max. Yeah,
which is good. I mean, if you spend like $5 on it, or if you get it in like a lot of other games, I mean,
right,
it's solid. It's more of like a vibe for me. I enjoyed the music even more than the game, I think.
Yes, yeah, same.
So if you have any sort of like nostalgia for this like particular era of music or any of these genres, you'll probably enjoy that aspect of the game a lot. If you're like a ATV fan or like an ATV / like MX fan, I think that there may be like better games later on in the series, but I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, I think that for the price and just like, what you get in this package, it's solid. It's definitely on the good spectrum of things. I just don't think it's like, rush out and buy this game now. Like you must drop everything and play this game sort of thing.
Yeah.
We normally like to discuss what a potential reboot or next entry in like a series that we've covered could look like. And up until this point, we've covered dead franchises. This is the only franchise that is technically still going.
Which is so strange to me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's technically like different. It's MX versus ATV, so it's kind of like but that is still the franchise. It's like still the developer and everything too. So I don't know too much about the newer games. I tried to dive into them a little bit, like I mentioned earlier. They've kind of been modernized in the sense of in the shitty sense where there's like a lot of DLC and stuff like that, and the game like launches broken and things like that. So that aspect of it,
that sucks.
If we could not do that, that'd be great.
Right.
But I think that from my perspective, I would like to see them maybe tone it down a little bit. They've been diving into like buggies and stuff too, and I'm like, all right, guys, we've got 2 vehicles. I think that we're maxed out on types of vehicles now. They've also like tried some like open world type, like they have an open world aspect in the version that I played, which was All Out, and I like that idea because I really like the cross country enduro races, but it kind of just feels like an afterthought. It doesn't really feel like a very fleshed out hub world or anything like that. At least that's the impression I get from other reviewers and stuff. So I think my ideal ATV or MX versus ATV game, I guess at this point, would be like a fairly large and varied like open world that you could like create your own races in. Because I really like that aspect of the game too, is like kind of deciding for yourself like which terrain you want to tackle and like challenges and stuff like that, but also having a very standard like the Maxis Nationals and then like the Supercross stuff as well. What about you? I mean, like, anything to take away from this game that you'd like, or done
I was going to
differently,
say,
or whatever?
I can't really speak on, like, obviously because I didn't play the more like modern releases that are technically from this franchise, but I think the most important thing to me is something I touched on earlier, where it would be nice if there was more rewards for progression, or like just more extra stuff that was unlockable as a reward for being good at it, or like perfecting certain tracks, I guess, if that makes sense.
I feel like that's dangerous in this current landscape. It'd probably be just like Fortnite-ified, where it just has a bunch of like microtransactions and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that would definitely not. Yeah, no, I don't advocate for microtransactions. I mean, yeah, no, but a way to reward players for optimizing and that sort of thing, just to make you more motivated to do that. I think that would be good.
Morgan, this concludes our discussion of ATV Offroad Fury. I would clap. I usually clap at this point, but I cannot clap right now. So
do you want me to clap?
I'll snap. Yeah,
All
can you
right.
clap?
I snapped.
Oh, okay. That's good enough. That's everything for that. So what are we playing next, Morgan?
Oh boy, you can't see it, but I'm rubbing my hands together because I'm so excited. I have wanted to play this game since we first threw out the idea for this podcast. I have been biding my time and waiting until we could play it, and that is Haunting Ground. It's I guess you would consider it a survival horror game developed by Capcom, and it is considered a cult classic and sort of a hidden gem on the PS2. So that will be our Halloween special.
Yes, I'm very excited. We must do a horror game every October. That's a requirement. I was just gonna say, I wonder if this game was developed by any of the team that would work on Resident Evil, or if there was any crossover there or what. But I guess we'll learn about that in the episode.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually do have some things that I can't say about that, but that will be in that episode. So you're going to have to wait.
Right. So that's all we got for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. The podcast is currently doing very well. It's surpassing my extremely low expectations to a very high degree. Currently, we are sitting at 351 downloads in total across every episode, which is cool. That's neat. I mean, I wasn't expecting anyone to listen. I thought it was just going to be me and you talking to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an average of 21 downloads an episode, or 21 downloads a week, which is cool. You know, it's like I keep checking in on the analytics basically monthly as we do the podcast, and it's fun. You know, see those numbers go up. Everyone's more drawn to Jak and Daxter, which is
that's understandable.
Expected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it was on the best-selling list.
Yeah, that's definitely something people are probably more interested in.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that makes sense.
That's cool. It's a dead franchise. There's no new. It's not like people are searching for the new Jak and Daxter game.
Right.
It's just people wanting to hear about Jak and Daxter, which is cool. We should definitely cover Sly or something as well, just widen our reach at some point.
Oh, I would love to.
We got to make that episode extra good. Gotta put some extra juice into that one. But yeah, it's cool that the podcast is some amount of following / visibility. I'm not sure how many people we're actually retaining or what, but it is neat. But yeah, this is our monthly sort of thing. If you want to hear more discussion on PS2 games, subscribe or follow or whatever on that podcast platform. And if you liked our discussion of ATV Offroad Fury, you could also check out our discussion of SSX and SSX Tricky if you want to hear more talk of sports / racing games. Expect a new podcast on the 2nd of every month. And you can find me on my personal YouTube channel, pixel.wave. And Morgan, you can
find me.
You could find me.
If you really believe hard enough, I'll materialize outside your window.
If you collect every Kingdom Hearts game physically and just lay them around you in a circle.
Yeah, and complete them all to 100% completion.
Yeah, 100% them.
I will rise from the floorboards.
And then sing that one Man.
I will sing the opening. I will sing "Simple and Clean" for you.
So yeah, that's those are the two ways you can reach out to us. But yeah, that's all I got for this episode. Morgan, anything to add?
No.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
goodbye.
All right. Bye.